What's going on, y'all? It's your favorite uncle, Uncle Clay, back at it again with another one from Talk Yo Clay, and tonight we're diving deep into the night shift over on Reddit. Now, you know how I feel about hospital stories. They are either heartwarming or they make you want to sleep with every single light on in your house. This one? Oh, this one is firmly in the lights on category. Our storyteller is a nurse, been on the job for about a year, working the graveyard shift in the ER. And let me tell you, this isn't some bustling city hospital. We're talking a small rural place smack dab in the middle of nowhere, servicing 3 tiny towns. He says it's usually rewarding, but lately, things have gotten weird. The kind of weird that makes you question if you're still awake or if you've drifted into some kind of nightmare. He starts by explaining that a lot of their patients are what the staff calls no-namers. They just show up. No ambulance brings them, they don't have family, and when you run their names, poof, nothing. It's like they don't exist in any database anywhere. The locals don't know them, nobody knows them. They just appear out of the darkness and walk into the ER, and the cases that follow are what pushed our narrator to write this all down. He calls the first one the aged organs. A stout woman comes in, complaining about a weird sensation, like pins and needles mixed with static inside. Just looking at her, she seems older than her stated age, but nothing too crazy. She's admitted for observation. A few days later, she dies of sudden catastrophic organ failure. They do an autopsy, and the doctors are baffled. Every single one of her organs, her heart, her liver, her kidneys, looked like they belonged to a 90-year-old, but her records, clean. No history of smoking, drinking, nothing that could explain it. It was like her insides just decided to fast forward 30 years while the rest of her was left behind. The doctors had no explanation, none. Now, if you thought that was strange, buckle up. The next one is where things go from medically weird to call a priest weird. Our narrator dubs this one Eyes in the Stomach. A man stumbles into the ER and the scene is graphic. He's bleeding from both of his eye sockets. But here's the kicker. He's not screaming about his eyes. He's clutching his stomach, moaning about an unbearable pain in his gut. The staff, obviously thinking he's in shock or having a psychotic break, try to restrain him to treat his face. But it fights them off with this insane strength, screaming about his stomach. And then, he does the unthinkable. He rips open his own abdomen with his bare hands, just tears himself open. The staff is in absolute shock. He collapses and dies right there on the floor. It's a bloodbath, a horror show. One of the doctors, probably running on pure adrenaline and morbid curiosity at this point, decides to examine the stomach contents right there. And what does he find floating inside this man's stomach? Both of his eyes. The man had apparently pulled out his own eyes and swallowed them. The sheer impossibility of it all just broke something in the people who saw it. How could he see to do that? Why would he do that? It makes absolutely no sense. As you can imagine, the morale in that AR just tanked. Our storyteller says his colleagues were traumatized. One of the veteran nurses, a woman we'll call A, was just pale and shaking for days, barely speaking to anyone. Several other nurses just straight up quit, handed in their resignations and walked out. They couldn't handle it. The hospital was becoming a revolving door of horrors, and the staff was at its breaking point. The feeling wasn't just fear, it was this creeping sense that these weren't random, isolated incidents. Something was drawing these people, these impossible cases, to their little hospital in the middle of nowhere. This is when our narrator gets a voice memo from his colleague, Nurse A, the one who was so shaken up. She'd been on a shift he missed, and she just had to tell someone what happened. Her voice is trembling in the recording. She calls this one Arrow Woman. A woman walks into the ER. Now this woman is described as being unusually tall, and she has an arrow, like from a bow and arrow, sticking clean through her neck. From one side to the other, But she's not bleeding, she's not panicking, she's just smiling. She walks right up to the front desk, completely silent, with this huge, unnerving grin plastered on her face. Before anyone can even react, she reaches up, grabs the arrow, and just yanks it out. Nurse A says there was this sickening crunch, like her neck just snapped. But there was no blood, not a single drop. She just crumpled to the floor, dead. And the last thing Nurse A saw was that smile. She said it wasn't a human smile. It was wide, taunting, like something was wearing a person's face and enjoying the show. The arrow hadn't been an injury, it had been holding her head up. So let's recap the impossibilities here. We have a woman whose organs age decades in a matter of days. A man who rips out his own eyes, eats them, and then tears his own stomach open. And a woman whose structural integrity is apparently dependent on an arrow through her neck. Medically, none of this makes sense. Logically, it's impossible. Our narrator, who started as a skeptic, is now terrified. He sees a pattern. He feels like something is out there, something unnatural, maybe even contagious, using their hospital as some kind of stage. And that's where he leaves it. He ends his post by saying he's going back to work and he's scared. He promises to update if or when something else happens. And you know Uncle Clay is going to be right here waiting for that update. This is the kind of story that just gets under your skin and stays there. What do you guys think is going on? Is it something in the water? A gateway to another dimension? Or is this the most creative work of fiction I've ever read on Reddit? Drop your theories down in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. And that, my friends, is part 1 of The Night Shift Nurse. You know the drill. If you enjoyed the ride, hit that like button, subscribe to Talk Yo Clay, and ring that bell so you don't miss part 2 when it drops. Thanks for hanging with your uncle. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.